It's only gonna hit the little whisker. How about that, huh?
Holy fuck!
You can't drink like me. You can't smoke like me.
The sun blazes over a wide-open fairway. Cigarette smoke curls from the corner of a man's mouth as he lines up a drive. With one effortless swing, the ball rockets off the tee with terrifying velocity. The gallery roars, not because of finesse or style, but because it's John Daly, a walking contradiction, a man of raw power and rough edges, a hero to the misunderstood, a maverick to the sport, and a mystery to himself. This is the story of the most unpredictable golfer to ever grip a club. John Patrick Daly. He was born April 28, 1966, in Carmichael, California, but his roots would settle in Arkansas. The son of a construction worker and a homemaker, John grew up with grit in his bones and chaos in his home. His father, Jim Daly, was a heavy drinker, known to lash out in anger. His mother, Lou, did her best to shield the kids from the storm. The family moved frequently, dragging John across the South, Virginia, Missouri, finally landing in Dardanelle, Arkansas. He had no country club upbringing, no silver spoon, no personal coach. But what he did have was a natural ability that defied explanation, a golf swing blessed by God and forged by pain. At a young age, John began hitting balls at a local 9-hole course. He'd be out there until the sun dipped behind the trees, barefoot, no gloves, wearing whatever he could find. His swing was violent and beautiful, raw and fluid, a combination of baseball mechanics and God-given timing. It wasn't technically perfect, but it worked, and it was his. He idolized Jack Nicklaus and Tom Watson, and by the time he reached high school, Daly was already a local legend. He won tournaments with ease, outdrove competitors by 40 yards, and even then had the magnetic charisma that would come to define his career. Daly earned a scholarship to the University of Arkansas, a major step forward, but college golf would be a chaotic chapter. He clashed with coaches over his freewheeling style, often skipped class, and partied with a passion that rivaled his passion for golf. Yet he was a 2-time All-SEC selection. His talent was undeniable. Even when he was out of shape, hungover, or sleep-deprived, Daly could step onto the course and shoot in the 60s. There was always something bigger brewing inside him, something volatile, unpredictable, but also brilliant. In 1987, Daly turned pro. He began grinding through golf's minor leagues, often sleeping in his car, living on fast food, and playing in tiny towns with no fanfare. He hustled for gas money, wrote letters to sponsors, and tried to stay afloat in a sport where everything cost more than he could afford. He wasn't part of the establishment. He was clawing his way in. In 1991, the world was introduced to John Daly in the most cinematic way possible. He wasn't supposed to be at the PGA Championship. He was the 9th alternate. But one player dropped out, and then another, and then another. With just hours to spare, Daly made the long drive to Crooked Stick in Indiana. He'd never seen the course, never walked the fairways, never hit a single practice shot, but when he teed it up on Thursday, something clicked. He unleashed monstrous drives, played with fearless aggression, and moved up the leaderboard. By Sunday, he had stunned the world. John Daly, an unknown with a mullet, a wild swing, and a cooler full of Diet Coke, was a major champion. Overnight, Daly became a phenomenon. He wasn't like the other golfers. He wasn't polished or scripted. He was raw. He smoked on the course, chugged Diet Cokes between holes, and gave interviews like he was talking to a drinking buddy at a dive bar. Fans connected with him instantly. He was the everyman who beat the best in the world. He brought blue-collar swagger to a country club sport. He didn't just win, he disrupted. With that disruption came commercial success. He signed endorsement deals with Wilson, Reebok, and Hooters. He released his own line of golf apparel, and his popularity skyrocketed. But while the money poured in, so did the problems. The drinking worsened, the gambling spiraled, the women came and went. At the peak of his fame, Daly was losing more than he was winning, on and off the course. His battles with alcohol weren't just rumors, they were headlines. He drank before rounds, during tournaments, sometimes disappearing altogether in the middle of events. His gambling habits were legendary. Daly once confessed to losing over $55 million during his career. At one point, he said he lost $1,650,000 in 5 hours at a Las Vegas slot machine. He gambled the way he played, recklessly and without restraint. He married 4 times, each relationship marked by turmoil and public scandal. He was arrested, fined, suspended by the PGA Tour, and criticized by peers. Yet through it all, the fans stayed, because John Daly didn't hide his flaws. He lived them, right in front of you. No PR team, no cover-ups, no apologies. Just Daly, raw and real. And somehow, amid the chaos, he found lightning again. In 1995, at the hallowed grounds of St. Andrews, John Daly stunned the world a second time. He won the Open Championship in a dramatic playoff, defeating Constantino Rocca. It wasn't luck, it was grit. He navigated the wind, the pressure, and the ghosts of his own past. That second major wasn't a fluke. It was proof. Proof that under the beard, behind the cigarettes and scandals, there was a golfer of supreme talent. Outside the ropes, Daly found new outlets. He turned to music. Recording 2 country albums. The songs were rough around the edges, but they were deeply personal. He sang about heartbreak, addiction, and redemption. He toured with bands, performed live, and treated the stage like another tee box, a place to let it all out. Daly also became a frequent guest on late-night talk shows, reality TV, and sports radio. He hosted charity events. He visited children's hospitals. He signed every autograph and posed for every selfie. His generosity was as legendary as his flaws. He gave big because he felt big. The late 90s and 2000s were a roller coaster. He won some tournaments, but not consistently. He battled injuries. Sponsors came and went. He was often more famous for walking off the course or getting into fights than for his golf. But he remained a draw. TV ratings spiked when Daly was in contention. Fans crowded tee boxes to watch him swing. He was must-see TV. In 2004, Daly captured his first PGA Tour win in nearly a decade at the Buick Invitational. It was emotional. He wept in the clubhouse, not because of the trophy, but because he had proven, if only for a moment, that he still had it, that the fire hadn't gone out, that the dream was still alive. His son, John Daly II, began to play golf seriously, and in the bond between father and son, Daly found a new kind of purpose. They played together in PNC championships, shared laughs on the range, and gave fans a glimpse of a softer, more grounded John Daly. The wild man was now also a mentor. He also began reflecting more publicly. In interviews and books, Daly acknowledged his demons. He didn't ask for forgiveness. He didn't try to rewrite the past. He just owned it. And in doing so, earned even more respect from those who had followed his journey. In 2020, Daly announced he had been diagnosed with bladder cancer. He faced it with the same reckless courage he brought to the first tee. He underwent surgery, continued to play charity events, and never stopped showing up. The mullet might have faded, the drives might be shorter, but the spirit, the fight, that never left. Today, John Daly remains one of the most beloved figures in golf, not because he won the most, but because he never pretended. He laughed loud, cried harder, lived bigger, and swung without fear. He was a rock star with a putter, a legend without the polish, a hero to the imperfect. His legacy? It's not just in the 2 major championships or the 300-yard drives. It's in the fans who see themselves in him. It's in every outsider who never felt welcome. Until they saw John Daly walk into the clubhouse with a Diet Coke in one hand and a smile on his face. Because in a sport built on precision, John Daly gave us permission to be messy. And somehow, that was more beautiful than perfect ever could be. He didn't win the most, and he didn't last the longest. But no one ever lived the golf life quite like John Daly. And maybe that's the point.